breaking tonight, the government is set to defy President Trump by pressing ahead with the giveaway of the Chagos Islands to Mauritius. That's despite, by the way, President Trump's attack on the deal last night, warning Sir Keir Starmer he was making a big mistake and Britain should stand up to wokeism. Take a listen to what Minister Alex Davies-Jones told GB News Breakfast this morning.
We will be protecting that military base and securing national security going forward for decades to come. That is the priority of this government. We'll continue to have conversations with the Americans and with our allies around the world. But ultimately, what is important is that we secure that base.
Well, in another extraordinary revelation, GB News can reveal tonight that Sir Keir Starmer has been accused of misleading Parliament over key legislation behind the deal. So with me now is one of the key people involved in filing that letter to the House of Commons Speaker, Lindsay Hoyle. It's the spokesperson for Friends of British Overseas Territories, Robert Midgley, who has, as I said last night, Rob, you've been like a dog with a bone on Chagos. What is this letter that's been fired Lindsay Hoyle's way? What are you asking him to do?
So today, Ben, three MPs, which were Sir John Hayes, Sir Julian Lewis and Sir Edward Lee, who's the father of the House of Commons, they filed a letter to the Speaker to say there was inconsistency between the Minister's statement on the 22nd of May and compared to what the ministerial statement said on Thursday, which clarified the defensive mechanism of Article 298, which exempts the Chagos Islands from the sovereignty being disputed because it's a military facility. So that's gone to the Speaker, and we're yet to find out probably in the next 24 hours or even Monday whether ministers will be summoned to speak about this and to understand what those inconsistencies are. And we're hoping, as we've seen today, a lot of other MPs have been coming forward to feel they've been misled. Because if you think about it, all those MPs on the Labour side have been voting this through without knowing about these defensive mechanisms. So this is really big. And for that bill to have gone through all the different stages of the House of Commons and all the different stages of the House of Lords and got through to the last stages, which is the ping pong stages, and this has not been discussed yet, it's really huge. So yes, they're pressing ahead with this, and this could turn out to be something really big.
Well, if John Healey did mislead Parliament, it's a very serious offence, possibly even resignation offence. Of course, Boris Johnson, what was his ultimate? It wasn't Partygate, it was Chris Pincher, was it, for misleading Parliament, saying he didn't know about it. Maybe I'm wrong, my memory fails me. So what could happen next logistically, Rob? So John Healey would get hauled back in, perhaps into Parliament, to explain the accusation of misleading the House, and then you go from there, right?
Yeah, I mean, they have to explain, because the minister on Thursday's statement explained that, yes, we are part of the defensive mechanism of Article 298, which exempts the Chagos Islands from being disputed. They have to explain now, because they've said that we are active in this defensive mechanism. We are a part of that. That's part of international law. So they have to explain why this hasn't been used in these negotiations, because the minister said on your earlier show that the base needs to be secure. But all these legal things that we've pointed out now shows that the base was secure all along. So the minister is contradicting themselves. The lady who you had on the TV is also contradicting herself, saying the base needs to be secured. It is secure. So why are we continuing with this? It's made the whole point of the deal completely pointless.
Every time your phone connects to public Wi-Fi, anyone nearby could snoop on what you're doing. Hackers can steal your information, passwords, photos, and bank details in just seconds. ExpressVPN encrypts your connection, making it virtually impossible for hackers to access your personal information. ExpressVPN is so easy to use. With just one click of a button, you're protected. Streaming, banking, or shopping, you can switch between high-speed servers worldwide in seconds, and your connection never slows down. Click the link in the description or scan the QR code to get up to 75% off, plus 4 extra months free, all backed by a 30-day money-back guarantee. Protect your online life today.
Okay, Rob, as ever, well done on this. Keep going. I think we're close to saving Chagos, but I don't know. You never know with this government. They're just They are arrogant and determined, aren't they? Rob Midgley, thank you very much. On that, I was Googling Boris Johnson. He was found guilty of misleading Parliament by the Privileges Committee, but he'd already resigned by that point. But if he were still an MP, he would have had something like a 90-day suspension. Right, I'm pleased to say with me now in Washington is the Washington editor of The Times, Katie Balls. Katie, good evening. Thank you for coming in this evening. What is the perception of this Labour government and Keir Starmer amongst the Trump administration?
So I think there is a view in the administration that they are surprised that Keir Starmer, to this point, has managed to get on with Donald Trump more than they expected. When it comes to the Labour government as a whole, behind the scenes, they're not particularly impressed. We know they disagree with them on multiple issues. And I also think one of the reasons that Donald Trump liked Keir Starmer was the sense he's a winner, so he respected his large majority. So you speak to figures in the administration behind the scenes, and they are very confused with the fact this Labour government is so unpopular. It has this big majority, it can't do very much.
They're confused.
Well, I think it's, if you have a big win, how does it get to this point so quickly? And then I think that even if we go to the GB News launch party in DC, where Nigel Farage, obviously GB News presenter, but also the leader of the Reform Party, was there, it felt as though in many ways lots of people there were behind the reform project, and I don't think there's any ideological alignment between the Labour government and this administration. No,
and it's easy to see why they may have been rubbed up the wrong way when you have the likes of, I mean, even Starmer himself, David Lammy, others, Angela Rayner, who are calling in recent years Trump a this and a that, a racist, a Nazi, whatever, but then also them sending Labour staffers, I think even 1 or 2 MPs, to Pennsylvania to campaign for Kamala Harris during the election. So it didn't get off to a great start anyway. With regards to President Trump's post on Truth Social yesterday, he highlighted RAF Fairford in the South Cotswolds. Not many people read between the lines of that post. It was only this morning, I think it was at The Times, who broke the facts that the UK had denied, up until this point, permission to the US. How did you hear about that at the time?
So that was an exclusive by my colleague Oliver Wright, and again, as you say, there were hints in that Truth Social post, and we also know from the last time Donald Trump was very critical of the Chagos Islands deal, it was around the time of Greenland, him talking about Greenland, and an annoyance from the president and those around him that the UK was criticising his position. And I think here, behind the scenes, what's become clear, thanks to his reporting and more, is the sense that international law, which we know Donald Trump doesn't have that much time for. In an interview earlier this year, he said, you know, that doesn't stop me. But we do know Richard Hermer, the Attorney General in the UK, has a lot of time for international law, and so potentially does the former lawyer Keir Starmer, who is the Prime Minister. And this has led to a clash over the RAF bases and potential action in Iran if they feel it is not an international law. So I think there's frustration on the administration side over this.
Do you think Chagos has been quite a handy piece of leverage for President Trump in recent months? Because as you just rightly pointed out, he used it to lash out over Greenland. He's used it again as a bit of sort of a slapping stick with Iran. It kind of suits him, doesn't it, that this Chagos situation drags on a bit because he can use it?
Yeah, I think that we've seen that the UK government obviously wants the administration to say they support the Chagos deal. It makes their life easier because they don't have many other arguments for the deal. You have UK government officials the whole time. They haven't been able to say this is great value for taxpayers because paying billions of pounds to give away territory to then lease it back, it just doesn't pass the basic smell test.
Well, Trump thought we needed the money.
Well, exactly. And I think a few things have been going on. I think there's also been, you know, it's not just the strikes. We also have a situation when you look at the lobbying, the case making by lots of opposition politicians in the UK, which I think is another factor in this. Whether it's the Reform leader, IDS. I think Liz Truss also has views on this and has been in DC a lot. I think Liz was in DC yesterday or the day before. Exactly, and therefore I think that, as you say, Donald Trump initially was critical of the deal, but then in this press conference when he was asked about it, he didn't seem to know that we were actually paying money for it. He thought we needed money. He said, I don't know why the UK is doing this. Do you need money? It's like, no, we're paying billions of pounds. So I think that the picture has slowly dawned on key members in the administration administration. Scott Bessent, for example, had dinner with Nigel Farage at Davos. He raised it then. Scott Bessent has been talking about this behind the scenes. So I think there's a few factors at play, but certainly when you have a UK government that is really appealing to the US administration to get on board, and that UK government is doing things to annoy the administration in certain areas, of course they're going to say, why are we going along with this?
Yeah, great stuff. Casey, thank you so much. Appreciate the insight. And as you mentioned, Nigel Farage had dinner with the Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent at Davos. Farage was given a lot of stick for going to Davos because he has railed against the so-called, the WF, the globalists, for many years and said he'd never go to Davos. He did, but it seems like it was a productive trip because, as Casey just said, he had dinner with Bessent. He put some pressure on the Chagos situation. Casey, thanks very much. Appreciate it. Right, spokesperson for the Foreign Office has told GB News that this is nonsense. We've always been clear that if a long-term deal wasn't reached, there was a further risk of litigation being brought rapidly, which could have serious implications for base operations. Instead, the government acted decisively to address threats to the base's operations, to protect national security interests and safeguard our shared defence capabilities. The agreement we reached will secure the future of the base, ensuring it can continue to operate securely for generations to come.